Mark, Terryberry from Haas, thanks for coming. I really appreciate it.
Nice seeing you.
So if you guys don't know, Haas, what is it, the world's largest machine tool manufacturer or domestic? What
in the Western world, yeah, that's we sell more than anybody, for sure. Yeah.
And Mark is one of the faces that you see on their YouTube channel. You do the Haas tip of the day. But tell me, before we get into that, what's your background? How long have you worked at Haas? Did you grow up in Southern California? Like, what's your backstory?
I'm a machinist, right?
Okay.
So I started out as a button pusher. I was actually going to school for engineering, and one of my first classes is properties of material, right? This guy was saying, quit your job, and I was installing payphones. We were talking a few minutes ago about driving around Southern California with these Thomas guides, and we don't do that anymore. So I was installing payphones, and I was rich. I was making like $15 an hour, more than all my friends. And this teacher said, quit that job if you want to be an engineer and go work around people who are making parts or designing parts or whatever. So I did. Went in, quit my job, got a job for nothing an hour, pushing buttons at some place that had some design work and did some manufacturing. And never been around CNC machines in my life before that time. And it was just amazing. I started out that shop. And by the second night, I had some G-code printed out for me, and I was going through it. And I ended up, running the manufacturing side of that shop for 6 or 7 years. Never got my engineering degree. Turned in all my units for a business degree, and finished it up. But I just love manufacturing. I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever, and I just never left.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up that class. That was the material properties class. That was my favorite and early engineering class. And it was soon after I took that class that I dropped out of college to self-educate myself. And I went back, my backstory is I bought all the out-of-print previous edition books for pennies on the dollar and just stayed in my room. And it was material properties, which you think is pretty boring. It's fascinating stuff, and it's so important when we choose what materials to make our products from. I loved it. I fell in love with it. And then when I got my hands on my first model year 2000 Haas Mini Mill, I'm like, wow, this is me. This just makes sense. Because I feel there's nothing more satisfying than having an idea and making something you can hold in your hands.
Oh yeah.
And most machinists can relate to that, I think. Yeah. So where was this? Was this in California?
Southern California. Okay. A little shop down in San Marcos, California. And it grew. It started out doing golf stuff, and the owner mentored me and let me do whatever I wanted, and then just came and corrected me. And his father had been a tool maker since way back, and he had worked as a tool maker. So he was making and engraving golf putters, down there with Titleist, Odyssey, that kind of thing. But we started doing more and more industrial work and automotive, aerospace, what have you, medical. And the company kind of switched over from 5% regular machining work, 95% golf, and just kind of flipped that over. Golf was really seasonal. It went up and down, and so we were filling things in with other projects. But he just let me do what I wanted and taught me everything. He just walked by and filled in the gaps. We had parts from a place, one called Dupaco, down there in Oceanside or Vista. And these polycarbonate mirrors that they use for surgeries. They would lay you on your face and do the back surgery, but they still had to see your eyes. They had to respond. So we would just cut around the outside, double radius, and poke 4 holes in it. And it was my boss, Keith Peterson. He's like, that's dumb. He's like, use a vacuum fixture, which is funny that we're talking about this here. I'm thinking about way back in the day. I'm like, okay. And so I made it made it wrong several times, and we got it all figured out. So we were running vacuum fixtures like that.
That's awesome.
20-something years ago.
That's great.
It was perfect. These plates, right? And then just 4 O-rings and through and ran around it. And it was fantastic.
The thing I say is if you can't hold it in a vise, vacuum's probably the best thing for production. So so then that company, you ended up in Detroit at some point in your career.
Yeah. So I moved around a little bit. So I was CNC programmer, ops manager. So I bid the jobs and that kind of stuff, ran the parts for years and years there at that job shop. And that's really where I learned how to machine and did a lot of lathe work, a lot of mill work. And then we'd hire machinists. We'd hire lathe guys, and I'd find out that they, because I didn't know. I wasn't properly trained. And so I'd hire these lathe guys who've been doing it for years, and then find out that I'd been doing it wrong for the past 2 years. Like, oh my gosh, there's these collet chucks, right? And they've got these, whatever, 3J, 16C, whatever. The collets spin in, and they have this set screw on the side that would lock the collet, and you drive it down into the groove, and then you back it off a little bit and put a back setup screw.
Right.
Well, I didn't know that for like years, and so my parts were fluctuating. The collet would spin itself out.
Wow.
Because when I started at the shop, I had just put the collet in and ran it.
Right.
And so the thing would spin itself out on these jobs, and my Z-face would be moving on the lathe. And I hired this guy, and he's like, "Where's the set screws for the collets?" I'm like, "I don't know, go find them." What's he? And I'm looking at it. I mean, I see you get the set screw and put it in the collet. I'm like, "Holy cow. I've been doing this for years, and I did not know what that slot was for." And so that was a nice thing. So if I didn't know something, I was able to hire guys who knew it.
There you go.
And would train me. I left that job, worked at a company for, a good number of years, 6-7 years, doing automotive stuff, mainly aftermarket stuff. So making molds for hitch covers, floor mats, mud flaps, that kind of stuff. Spent a few years in Nebraska and here in Southern California. Eventually followed some customers that I had here in Southern California that were doing race work for Chrysler to Michigan. So we were out there in Tecumseh, Michigan, making engine blocks, superchargers, a lot of cylinder heads, Ford, Chrysler, Caterpillar.
Yeah.
And I fell in with the right group of guys who again, were just awesome. They were just, they knew everyone in that industry, and they would walk by and say, "You're using the wrong tap. Call this guy." And I would get in my car and I would drive over to Windsor, where some guy would meet me in the parking lot of a GM plant and say, "This is the tap you want to use." And so I've been really fortunate in that I've had some great mentors.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So all along the way, were you working with Haas machines or a bunch of different brands?
A bunch of different brands. I ran Haas machines for a lot of years, here and there, but a lot of different makes, a lot of Haas verticals, but I also ran a lot of pallet pool systems, large, 630 millimeter horizontals, this type of stuff. So tons of lathe work, vertical work, horizontal work, but always milling or turning. The only grinding I've ever done is for the shim stock on my fixtures, because we had grinding places nearby and gear hob places nearby. Never learned that stuff. At Haas, the factory, if I take you on a factory tour, I might go there and walk around the shop, and then we'll see these great big giant machines, and I'm like, "This is incredible," like this. And then we'll see these grinding machines, these gear hobs. I'm like, and I'll sit and stare at those and geek out, because that's not what I do.
Yeah.
I turn and I mill.
Right. So I remember a story you told me that at that one of the shops you worked at, a customer didn't give you a contract because you didn't have grinding in-house. But there was no grinding required, but grinding put the shop in like an extra decimal point.
Wow, when was that? Was it in the factory tour?
Yeah, when we came by and you said because...
So we were taking jobs, and we ended up getting the job, but we had this, we ended up getting this KO Lee grinder, surface grinder, but it was really just for small part runs. Anything big we'd send out. And but we'd use it to grind in the fixtures, because everything in a machine shop starts and finishes with the fixture. After you've done it for a couple of years, anyone can make the part. It's the tooling that matters. And the guy from Sony down in San Diego, they were making TV sets for something. They were making prototypes, something. And so we're making these fourth axis vacuum, which is really funny. They were making this vacuum adapter that would go on the end of a robot arm to carry the screens for the television sets for something. And we ended up getting that job, and I made a bunch of those little, end of arm effectors for Sony. But he said that we got that job because we had a grinding machine.
Oh, because you had a grinder.
Because we had a grinding.
That's right.
And the other shops didn't, and he didn't trust their fixtures, which is a really weird thing to say. And that might be a little antiquated now, because people can just change an offset now.
That's true.
Even on a fourth or fifth axis, you can just.
So because your shop had a grinder, you were in that tenths mindset, like
yes,
we need to.
Yeah, maybe. So it was funny as a purchasing agent. That's what he was looking for at that time.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So you're working at that. Then you come to work at Haas at some point.
Yeah. So I had worked for these handful of shops over the years. CNC programmer, production manager, operations manager, and I ended up, things finished up at where I was at in Michigan, I moved there in 2007, which was just a terrific time to move to Michigan, right? So everything just died, and but I just loved the job, and the people that I was working with were fantastic. When that job finished, kind of contract job, Ford, Chrysler, Caterpillar, I could have taken another job 40 minutes up the road, but if I'm going to move my family, I figured I could move anywhere.
Right.
So I just moved back to Southern California. So my kids could see their aunts and uncles and cousins and this type of thing. And so it was great. We spent a month driving back from Michigan to Southern California with no job, back where I was born and raised. And I stopped along the way at different factories. So, the John Deere factory, we'd go to Waterloo, we'd go to anywhere along the way and meet cousins I didn't know I had, right? Because we put our feelers out. And I just had a fantastic time. And then when I got back to San Diego County, I just loved the factory tour type of thing. Even this morning, when you walked me through your machines, this is a vacation. I could have taken time off work to do this. It's such an enjoyable thing.
That's my type of vacation, like factory tours across the country. That's awesome. I love that.
It is the best. So I did that, and then I realized, wait a second. I was taking some contract work in Oxnard, another company making superchargers, and I stopped by Haas Automation and just to see what they were doing. And they were hiring an applications guy. And so I went and talked to them. Larry at the front desk, I said, I'd like to go speak to somebody in the machine shop. He said, oh, absolutely. And then he walked me not to the machine shop, but to the applications department, where I spoke with John Nelson, and he hired me like that day.
Was that an accident?
No, he did it on purpose. I don't know why he took me to John Nelson in applications instead of the machine shop. But then John talked to me. He's like, well, what do you do? I said, I'm a machinist. And I showed him my pictures of my parts, right? Back when we used pictures.
Right.
And but I had such a great time going to see those customers, the factories, and I thought I could do that. And when I interviewed for jobs back in San Diego and saw all the different shops, all these people would show me the parts that they were making because their wives didn't care, right? And their brothers didn't care. And I cared. I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. I know how hard that was.
Yeah.
And so when Haas offered me the job, I'm like, you're going to pay me to go around and talk to customers and see what they do? And it's just fantastic.
Dream job.
It is, yeah.
Wow.
So I did. So I traveled for a number of years and answered phones and just talked with customers. And I'm pretty much still doing that today.
Yeah, because you hold the title of application engineer. Yeah. So most people know you because of the Haas YouTube channel, but you're still on the phones to this day.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a different thing. So we've got a group of guys who answer the phone. Same thing as me. We're all applications engineers. Most of my calls now are coming directly from the viewers. Okay. So YouTube viewers and that kind of thing. The online presence has grown so much that where before I'd answer a dozen calls from whoever called the factory in a day, and I'd track down issues, help solve problems, and sometimes end up on a plane. I do the same type of thing today, but answering questions from YouTube viewers all over the world, and that is just as many questions as it ever was, right? It's constant, but it's great.
Because of the YouTube channel, have you seen those questions decrease? Or do you like your call volume?
Yeah, absolutely. They moved a couple of our applications engineers to the machine shop. It wasn't a result of the videos.
Okay.
It was a precursor to the videos. They, as a company, said, how many times have you answered this question? Oh, well, I know the answer to that question. We've answered this question 1 million times. Okay, so is it written down? Is the answer written down? Have you made a video explaining that? So you've answered the question 1 million times. We know you're smart, and you can answer the question. You shouldn't be doing the same thing over and over again.
Absolutely.
It should be written down. And that's when they started, Gene Haas and then the general manager, Bob Murray, started the Tip of the Day video series. I don't even know where the name came from. But Bob Murray sat me down. He says, by the way, we're going to have you make some videos, and we're just going to see how it goes. But the whole idea is to take some questions that people have asked, and we're going to give you hours. You can spend all day. You can spend all week, all month, whatever, maybe. And you can answer this question better than you could have in the 5 minutes on the phone, and then maybe we can answer this question once for 5,000 people instead of once for one person. And it's worked out really well.
Yeah.
And that we've hit some of the questions that would have ended up being phone calls.
Right, yeah. No, we experienced the same thing. So we have a fast-growing YouTube channel, and we started a new series, Pierson Workholding Q&A, because I get the same 20 or 30 questions over and over. And so we're trying to funnel people to the YouTube channel. But then when I get that call, it helps to reinforce. I'm not going to say, hey, I've already answered this, go watch the video. But I'll say, this is what we do, and let me send you a link to it so that it can reinforce what I've said. That works so well. It's just, I mean, a picture's worth 1,000 words, video is worth 1,000,000 words. I mean, and we don't do trade shows anymore, because my philosophy is video is a 24/7 global trade show. It's like the new thing to do. So
at Haas, they're pretty much doing the same thing. We're doing very few trade shows anymore. Just the big ones, right? The EMOs, the IMTS. A lot of the local Haas factory outlets are doing local shows. But as far as corporate goes, we're only doing a half dozen shows a year.
Yeah.
Or who knows how many. But not what we were.
Yeah, okay.
Because they're putting their effort into video. It lasts longer, it's more accessible, and you can search it.
Yeah.
You can search for it and answer that question directly.
So the money Haas used to spend on their shows, they're given to you now, right?
They are.
Okay, that's
They
awesome.
are.
Whoa.
Sorry. Yeah, there's a couple of guys there on the trade show department that were like worried. They're still here, by the way.
Okay.
They're still doing trade shows, but yeah, they reallocated resources, and we've got a whole group of good people upstairs that are editing videos, doing 3D models. This is, in the whole marketing department, there's 15 people that are just doing editing the video, shooting videos.
Right.
They're making a big push this year, especially on service. So they know that people are fixing their machines by themselves anyhow.
Right.
And so they said, you know what? Just open it up.
Yeah.
We've got no secrets. Just show them how to do it. They're going to do it anyhow. And so we're producing a lot of service videos right now, showing people how to maintain their own machines.
That's great. I love that, because the industry seems so locked down, and people are afraid about trade secrets or liability, but we're mechanical people. I'm just going to get up there and take the cover off and see what's going on, So that's fantastic. And you have there's different characters, if you will, with the team. It's you, Brian.
Yeah, there's a bunch from Andrew Harnett, does a lot of the videos. Brian O'Fallon, who's also my boss.
Okay.
He's doing a lot of videos. And then we've got the service guys. We've got Orville Collins, of course, he's done videos forever. Our own service department, Brian Dickinson, and there's a whole crew of manufacturing engineers who are making videos for both internal and external use. We've got several guys who are more filmmaker types who are doing voiceover videos, like the engineering or the service departments will give them a list of here's how you do this, and they'll just go and shoot the whole thing themselves, give it back to the service department, have them check it over, and then publish it. And so, anything that we know, we're making public. In fact, there's whole websites that we've got that are cordoned off for Haas service engineers.
Got it.
And all those documents are being pulled off one at a time and being put on the public website.
Wow. See, I wondered if you guys, because you do a Haas tip of the day, maybe at this point every 1 or 2 weeks, would you say?
And it's forever now. So because of a lot of the service videos that we're doing, it might be months before we get to one.
Okay.
It used to be a couple of weeks and stuff, but it goes up and down depending on the trade show needs and the marketing needs and the film crew needs of other groups.
But you guys are always shooting, and
Always
so some of those
shooting
videos are going internally to the HFO service. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, a lot of internal videos, but the majority are going to be forward-facing to the public.
Are you shooting videos to help the assembly team, where they could just pull it up on a phone or a tablet? Or
Yes, but a lot of those aren't done by the same crews. Okay. So it's a funny thing. The videos at Haas are everywhere. Every department at Haas is now using videos to document what they do.
That's awesome.
So if you go into our system, our SAP system or what have you, and you want to place a purchase order, a purchase requisition for a Pierson Workholding, and we need 3 of these things and whatever. So how do you actually input that in the system? It's a nightmare. If you've never used SAP, you'd be lost. You have to know which code to enter and then how to enter it and which account to cost it against. And so the purchasing department is now sitting down with a phone, and they're saying, look, and they'll do screen capture with Camtasia or whatever, and they'll make that little video, here's how you do it. And then they'll show it to somebody, and they'll say, that made no sense at all. And they'll do it again, and they'll edit it down, just like we do with the tip of the days, right? None of that stuff is necessarily live.
Right.
And then they'll make this perfect video, and now it's on the network, and anyone who wants to make a purchase rec can click the video.
I love it, because I do the same thing. So we pay sales tax quarterly, and every time I hop on to this government website, it's terrible. And I go, now what do I have to do? And I made a Camtasia video, and I go, man, this is kind of weird, and You know, I'll be in the office and a guy will walk in, why are you listening to yourself? Because I'm teaching myself. I don't want to fill my brain with this crazy knowledge that I do 4 times a year. And it's such a powerful tool. My encouragement to shops is that they make their own in-house videos for their own processes. You know, we've got QR codes all over the shop that you can scan and a guy can watch it, he can save it. Now, I don't have to train them. There's no pressure of them feeling, oh my gosh, the boss is telling me how to do this. I got to get it right the first time. They can pause, rewind, watch at home. Such a powerful tool. So that's awesome.
It's
Haas
the
does
medium. Everyone's doing that. I'm getting phone calls all the time now about from customers who are saying that they're creating an in-house training program, and they know what they need, and they're making those videos themselves. They want to know, can we use these 3 videos of yours in our thing? Like, yeah, absolutely. That's what they're there for.
That's cool.
And here, if you're talking about this, here's these other 2 videos that these other people have made that you can refer to as well. And people are integrating that because it's just a really good medium. And it could be we do this. So length of videos, what's the perfect video? Is it 1 minute? Is it 40 minutes? I don't know. But the nice thing about the videos is that you're like, you can scan. You can just drag that bar. You don't have to watch the whole thing and get to the information that you want.
Yeah, you can watch double speed if you want to.
Yeah.
You know, just knock out a tour or something. So.
And I use the videos, even myself, as notes. I used to keep my paperwork, and I still have my files and my scripts and all my research. But a lot of times I just like, you know what, if I ever need this again, I'm just going to go back and watch that video.
Yeah.
It becomes my own notes for that question.
Do you keep it like in some type of like Evernote or something like that, or just on your phone?
Yeah, it got big. I've got so many other file attachments with it that it ends up just being a spreadsheet with hyperlinks.
Oh, okay.
And so I've got those to all my videos.
Did you have to audition for your part, or how did that come about?
I didn't think I did. In hindsight, I may have. There's a video out there, and I've got a baby face, no beard, and I'm making a video, and they'd already made some excellent videos on coolant, and we just released one, Coolant the movie.
Okay.
Right? And so Andrew Harnett and Brian O'Fallon had made a series of videos on that, and they needed another one on just topping off your coolant. So they had me go back and just make this video with them, and here, just do this, pour this, do this. And I did that, and then the next week I was, that thing was published, and then I was making videos full time.
Okay.
So that may have been an interview.
Okay.
That I didn't realize was an interview. Going on. Interesting. Because they had all the apps guys making videos, and some of them were really good.
Yeah, yeah. Because there's like Orville you mentioned. Yeah. He's just a fun character to watch on TV, and he knows his stuff. You know
what's funny is he's loosened up a lot.
Okay.
He is so funny, and he's just so kind and natural and helpful in real life. And I wonder how much that comes across on the videos, because he is just the greatest guy in the world, and so everyone knows that. So even if it doesn't come across in the video on the first day, I think if you watch those videos for too long, I think that does come across. But he helps everybody.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. And who's the other maintenance guy I've seen? Is his name Brian also?
There's a Brian Dickinson.
Yeah, Brian.
And so he's a manufacturing engineer. So he was in the shop building machines. So if they have a new lathe or a new mill, he would help to get the processes down to build those things efficiently, right?
Okay.
Get the UMC machines from 1 a day to 5 a day to 10 a day,
right,
on the production line. And so he knows all the systems. And now they've actually moved him over to technical development, which writes stuff. And they make videos too. Mm-hmm. Everything's mixed these days. So he has a team of manufacturing engineers that they have to research the stuff anyhow for our own in-house documents. And now they're making videos on how to do that, both for our own service engineers and for the public. There's just everybody at Haas is making a video these days.
I love it. Wow.
It is good.
Well, let's dig even deeper into Haas. Okay, so a machine that just debuted is the UMC 500.